Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for our very first webinar hosted for parents and caregivers. My name is Rebecca Lewis, and I'm with Gabrielle Hunter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
And we're both public health nurses with the preschool team with the Halton Region Health Department. So let's get started. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on an overview of what helps children emotionally and physically prepare for school. This includes things such as skills that help children learn, having secure relationships, being able to manage their stress, having predictable routines, learning through play, a healthy lifestyle, and routine checkups. Information about what a kindergarten day generally looks like and the overall routines of the classroom will be covered when you attend your school's orientation night, which is usually held in the spring. Best Start has developed a great resource that helps to supplement this webinar tonight and provide some additional information. The link to the document was sent in your reminder emails and can be found on their website. You will notice as we go through the presentation tonight that there will be some references to pages and checklists within the resource. So now I'm going to hand it over to Gabrielle.
As a parent, it's sometimes hard to believe how fast time goes by. For some of you, it may seem like it was just yesterday when you were holding your newborn son or daughter, and now they're heading off to kindergarten in September. So how do you get them ready? Where do you start? Whether you're aware of it or not, you've already been preparing your child for school for the last 3 years. Babies are actually born wired to learn. From the earliest days, you provided a healthy space and secure environment for your growing baby. Over time, you established various family routines such as getting ready to start the day, family meal times, spending time together, and concluding your day with a sometimes challenging bedtime routine. These routines have not only contributed to your child feeling safe and secure, but have also helped them master new skills such as getting dressed and becoming independent. You gave your child words before they could speak by reading books together, pointing out and labeling different objects as you ran along. You taught them feeding skills as you introduced finger foods, then graduating to using a spoon and fork. These everyday opportunities help your child to develop the small muscles in their hands that have helped prepare them for printing and writing. Also critical to their success in school, you help them develop social skills by teaching them how to say please and thank you, being kind, taking turns, and how to be a good friend. So preparing a child for school actually starts from the moment you conceive. But forecasting ahead to grade 1, let's consider what skills children might need to set the stage for their ongoing learning. In answering this question, many of us may focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic. But what we've come to learn is that there are foundational skills that children need that actually help them to learn. These skills can include listening to others, such as their teacher or classmate, following instructions or rules. For example, we hang up our backpack, then we put on our indoor shoes. The ability to ignore distractions, prioritizing and staying on task, asking for help, and problem solving, getting along with other children, taking turns, sharing, managing big emotions and communicating their thoughts and feelings in constructive ways, being independent, which also requires having a good memory, caring about others, and most importantly, feeling good about themselves. In a nutshell, when we look at these skills together, they're collectively what many experts refer to as self-regulation and executive function. These skills are not only crucial for learning and development, they also enable positive behavior and allow us to make healthy choices for ourselves and our family. Simply put, self-regulation and executive function refers to the mental processes that help children plan and set goals, focus their attention, remember instructions, juggle multiple tasks successfully, and all while managing stressors and distractions. Let's take a look at a video which nicely illustrates the role that self-regulation and executive function plays in our children's learning. This video reminds us that children are not only born with these skills, but they develop over time when given repeated opportunities to practice within the context of healthy environments and relationships. And also that it's never too early or too late to develop these skills. As the video points out, there are at least 2 key points in a child's development where these skills can be enhanced, preschool and adolescence. So let's begin by breaking this down and looking at more closely how we as caregivers can create those opportunities for children to develop these essential life skills. Human beings are wired from birth to connect, attach, and belong. This need for connection and a sense of belonging is important at all stages of life, not just in infancy and preschool. However, the earliest relationships in a child's life matters, setting the stage for children to learn about themselves and the world around them. According to the research, children with healthy attachments develop a stronger ability to manage stress, form healthier relationships, perform better in school, and enjoy a higher self-worth. Overall, they have a greater shot at a well-balanced and fulfilling life. Children develop secure relationships with others when they are seen, as demonstrated by a caregiver's attempt to understand and interpret their child's emotional state when the child does not have the insight or capacity to do this for themselves, and in turn can see the meaning behind their behavior. For example, you pick up your child from school at the end of the day, he or she has a meltdown. You recognize that they've been working hard all day, holding it together, with the final transition from school to home being their breaking point, causing them just to flip their lid. Children also develop secure relationships when they feel safe and know that their caregiver is there for them, and it's not a source of fear. When they are soothed, such as when they're sick, tired, scared, hungry, or sad. When they feel secure, knowing that their caregiver is predictable, responsive to their needs, and emotionally available to them. Building healthy attachments is an ongoing process. As children grow and gain the confidence to explore their world, they continue to benefit by fostering healthy attachments with others, such as their teachers, their peers, or their coaches. Even children who feel safe and secure, however, experience stress. Too much stress interferes with their ability to learn. Dr. Stuart Shanker, professor at York University and an expert in the field of self-regulation, refers to 5 sources of stress in children which need to be acknowledged and managed in order for learning to happen. Those sources of stress can include physical stress, such as being overwhelmed by a noisy or busy classroom, or perhaps feeling hungry or tired, which can affect a child's ability to stay focused. Emotional stress. Children who are very sensitive or reactive to new situations may be quite anxious initially when they transition to the new school setting or have to separate from their caregiver. Cognitive stress. Learning new skills, new routines, dealing with distractions can actually be quite stressful for children. Take a moment and think about your own stress when you started a new job. Social stress, which is something that may not be on our radar, as children often appear to be having fun when playing with their friends. But just playing with friends can also be stressful for some kids. It's not always easy to wait to take your turn or to share toys. Finally, the last stressor Dr. Shanker refers to is prosocial stress, where the focus of the stress is when a child is learning to be empathetic towards another. This can be a very big deal for some children and often something we as adults struggle with. Stress may be a normal part of everyday life. But how can children cope and bounce back when stress matters? When we help children learn positive ways to cope with everyday stress, it becomes hardwired in their brains, influencing their health, behavior, and happiness as they grow into adults. So how can we help children deal with stress? Start by learning how your child experiences stress. Do they have a temper tantrum? Do they shut down? Do they retreat? Children don't always have the words to tell us they're stressed, so we need to tune into how they're feeling and or behaving. In other words, we need to learn to read their cues. Then ask yourself, what stresses my child? Well, stress is normal. Where possible, reduce the stressors. For example, is your child overscheduled? Are there things you can do to simplify daily life? Or perhaps if you notice that your child is having meltdowns at pickup time and their lunch typically has gone uneaten. Plan ahead and have a healthy snack to take with you. Getting those sugar levels up, all that is required to help your child be more calm, happy, and alert. Labeling and acknowledging feelings. I can see you're very mad that Paula took your dolls. When we help our child label feelings, we develop their emotional literacy or feelings vocabulary, giving them yet another tool other than their hands or feet to express themselves. And by acknowledging their feelings, they feel understood, strengthening their connection with you. If a meltdown occurs, take time later in the day to talk about it. Ask your child to reflect on what they were thinking or feeling before it occurred. Recognizing the triggers and the signs of stress is the first step in stress management. Finally, we need to teach our children how to return to being calm, focused, and alert. This may include breathing exercises, reading, yoga, being active, connecting with nature, or giving them something they can manipulate, such as Play-Doh. It's also important to check their own stress. How do you express stress? Your child takes their cues from you. Talk about and demonstrate healthy coping strategies when stressed. And most importantly, model self-care. You owe it to them and you owe it to yourself, and problem solve. So now let's look at a special kind of stress, separation anxiety. Some of you may wonder how your child is ever going to let go of your leg on that first day of school. It's a common concern for many parents as their child enters kindergarten. Separation anxiety is a normal part of healthy growth and development in the child's early years. With care and attention, most toddlers usually outgrow it. Starting a new routine, however, such as changing from daycare to kindergarten, can cause some children to once again struggle with separating. If you're worried that your child may have a difficult time with this, think about the following ideas. Introduce them to new experiences in a slow and careful manner. Plan ahead, let them know what they can expect, and be positive. Practice separating. Start by building in short separations with your child by leaving them in familiar, child-friendly environments. Have a walkabout at the school they'll be attending. Let them play on the playground equipment, or perhaps make a visit to the school office or library and introduce your child to the staff. Attend the school's kindergarten orientation night. Meeting potential teachers, the principals, and other families. Some schools have an end-of-the-year barbecue where new families are invited to attend. Remember to give lots of praise and acknowledge feelings. Try role-playing with your child. Play school and make it fun. There are many great books about starting school. Take a trip to your local library and discover the books with your child together. Develop a predictable routine for separations and collecting your child at the end of the day. Don't sneak out. Your child needs to learn that mommy or daddy will leave, that they will be okay, and that mommy and daddy will return. Be confident. Have a smile on your face even if your heart is sad. Your behavior and your words need to convey the following messages to your child. Mommy and daddy would only leave you with people they trust. This is a safe place. You will have fun and learn new things. I know this is hard for you, but you can do this. I will miss you, and I know you will miss me too. I can't wait to see you at the end of the day. A pickup time is just as important to your child as drop-off time. At the end of the day, collect before you direct. What I mean by this is show them that you're happy to see them. Greet them with a big smile on your face. Give them a big hug or a high five. Tell them that you miss them and you're happy to see them. Allow them to show you or tell you about their day before moving to the next task, such as, get on your coat, where's your backpack, hurry up, you need to stop at the store on the way home. Does this sound familiar? Help them develop a positive outlook about their school experience by asking them to tell you about 2 great things that happened to them that day. When you meet your child's teacher, let them know your child may struggle with separating. They are part of your team and want your child to succeed. They will work with you to help them with this transition.
Okay, great. So thanks, Gabrielle. So far we've discussed about how positive relationships and managing stress contribute to the development of self-regulation and executive functioning skills. But what other practical everyday things can you do as parents to help prepare your child for school? Well, establishing predictable routines not only helps with separation anxiety, as Gabrielle just mentioned, but also with family functioning and transition to school. Routines do help children to know what is important to your family and what is expected of them, which then allow them to feel healthy, safe, and secure. In turn, having this security allows them to feel calm, in control, and better able to cope with stress and change. They also allow your child to become independent. Your child will feel more comfortable and confident to take risks and to try new things on their own. There is a routine and self-help checklist in the Best Start resource on page 28, and I encourage you to complete it. It does list some common skills that children prepare for school that they need. Some examples can include things like, my child gets up around the same time each morning, my child can tell others his or her full name, and my child knows how to dress themselves. These are just a few examples of some routines or self-help skills that you can start to develop with your child between now and September. A common stress for parents and children is getting out of the house in the morning, on time, and with no arguments or raised voices. Most children at this age still need prompts to move them through their morning routine, and one tool you can use is a visual schedule. This allows you to provide that reinforcement with your child and increase the independence at the same time. You can personalize it with your own family and get your child involved by having them draw the pictures, as well as have them check off the boxes as they move through each step of each day. This type of tool can also be helpful to direct children with other routines, such as bedtime or bathroom routines. And I know that many of you guys out there have tools and other systems that work well, and this is really just one example that you can use. Developing routines at home is a great start, and there's also some community programs that can help your child prepare for school. These include things such as the drop-in programs at the Ontario Early Years Centres and libraries. Some of their programs include routines like circle time, healthy snack, and activity stations that are built right into their programming. If your child will be taking the school bus, the Halton Student Transportation Services will be holding an orientation day on August 27th within each municipality of Halton. You can visit their website to find out how to register and for more information. Another thing parents can do to support their child's learning is to provide opportunities for play. Children learn through play. It is their work. When they climb play structures at the park or create a picture at home, they're discovering how their bodies move as well as developing their large and fine motor skills. When they work on a puzzle with you and try to figure out which piece goes where, they are developing problem-solving skills. And when they play a board game with you or family and friends, they are learning to take turns, how to get along with others, and important numeracy and literacy skills. And when playing with others, they have an opportunity to learn how to manage strong emotions and develop positive coping skills. All of these things help to develop self-regulation and executive functioning. You as a parent also have a very important role in encouraging play with your child. You can do this by taking your child's lead and build on everyday moments, such as when you're playing I Spy while driving in the car, where you can promote learning about colors and taking turns, or having your child help you set the dinner table, where they can learn about numbers and concepts of right and left. You do these things every day, you just don't realize how much you're teaching them through fun and everyday tasks. Pretend play is also important, as children have an opportunity to walk in someone else's shoes, which helps them teach the moral development skill of empathy. This is not a skill that they're born with, but one that needs to be nurtured, experienced, and practiced. And when you have a chance, stop and listen when your child is playing make-believe. You may be surprised to hear them speaking to themselves and repeating many of the family rules that you have been trying to teach them along the way. And of course, it's all about just having fun with our kids, allowing yourself to be silly with them, and just being present. Promoting a healthy lifestyle also helps children be better prepared for school. Set the stage now for healthy sleep habits. As you can all probably relate, when we are tired, we have a harder time managing our emotions, following instructions, or doing what we're supposed to do. Well, the same thing goes for our kids. The Canadian Pediatric Society recommends that children aged 3 to 5 get 10 to 12 hours of sleep at night. Experts also recommend limiting screen time to at least 30 minutes before bed to help prepare our brain for sleep. This goes for us as well as for our children. Being active. As I mentioned earlier, being active is one way a child can play and learn. Physical activity is great for healthy hearts, brains, and muscles, and it's good for everyone, parents included. Healthy eating. Remember, Gabrielle mentioned about self-regulation and sources of stress with children. One source of stress is physical, which includes hunger. It becomes very difficult to focus, listen, and be nice to our friends when you're hungry or tired. Gabrielle, I don't know if you would agree to this, but I think if you speak to most parents, they will say that packing lunches is the bane of their existence. I know it is for me. Thankfully, there are great websites that offer snack and lunch ideas like Eat Right Ontario, where you can also speak to a registered dietitian if you have any questions or concerns about your child's eating. All schools have guidelines about snacks and lunches. Some schools have a rule that no special snacks, such as sending cupcakes to celebrate your child's birthday, for example, are allowed for the whole class. This is a way to ensure that they are following healthy school guidelines and anaphylaxis policy. Many schools are now eco or green schools and adhere to litterless lunches. And what this means is that it's encouraging families to pack snacks in reusable containers to create minimal or no waste. The benefit of this, however, is that it allows you to monitor what your child is eating or not eating. You can help your child by having them try out different types of containers and seeing what works for them and which ones they can open with little or no help. Often schools will have older students that will help out on lunch breaks, but it's not always a guarantee, so it is best if your child can do this on their own. You may find that your child does not have enough time to eat and may come home with half-eaten lunches. By the time they stop their activity, wash their hands, sit down, and have a few conversations along the way, much time has passed. Therefore, it is best if you pack them small, easy-to-eat snacks, ones that they can eat some now and finish later. Also, find out what types of foods work best for your child. A thermos with soup or pasta may be too messy for your child in JK, but okay when your child is in grade 1. It will be trial and error for you in the beginning, so please be patient, and believe me, they will not starve. Some children may not have designated snack or lunch times and have adopted the practice of open snack time where children can access their lunch at any time to eat. Snack and lunch breaks, as well as the general school routine of the day, will be discussed at your kindergarten orientation night. And finally, all Ontario schools have a no nut or anaphylaxis policy in place. The policy is available on your school board website if you would like to take a look. And if your child only likes to eat foods that do contain nuts, it is a good time now to start to introduce other foods into their diet. Some of the things to remember when thinking about healthy lifestyles is making hand washing a regular part of your routine. Also, keep your child home when they're sick and have a backup plan for illness. There will be times when you get a phone call from school to pick up your sick child. If you can't get there quickly, think about who could and ensure that they're on board with your plan. Also, don't forget to send your child to school with appropriate clothing. Our winters are cold and children will need hats, mitts, boots, and snow pants in the winter, as well as possibly hats and sunscreen in the fall and spring. Often schools will ask parents to supply indoor pair of shoes for the school year, as well as an extra set of clothes for children in case accidents occur. This is also a good time to start having regular checkups. We know that children learn in various ways, one of them being through their eyes. Children who cannot see the board, focus on a picture, or follow words in a book may struggle at school. It is recommended that you make an appointment with an optometrist to have your child's eyes checked prior to starting school. Assessments are covered through OHIP for children under age 18. The IC I Learn program provides an eye exam as well as a free pair of eyeglasses for children entering JK. More information about their program is available on our website. Another routine checkup is your child's oral health. Healthy teeth and gums are important as a child grows to help them develop good speech and language, healthy eating habits, and generally feeling good about themselves. Halton Region does have several oral health programs that can be accessed by families who do not have dental coverage and have limited income. You can find out more about the programs when you visit our website. Some key points to remember when considering your child's oral health: regular brushing and flossing is necessary. Teeth may be cleaned up to 2 times each day in the morning and at night. Do not use fluoride toothpaste until your child is able to spit. And once they start to use the fluoride toothpaste, make sure that you only use a small amount. This is a good time as well to teach your child to spit and not to swallow the toothpaste. Every child should have a dental assessment prior to starting school, and when trying to decide what types of snacks and lunches to pack for your child, it is important to limit sugary, sticky junk foods, dried fruits, and juices. Dried fruits, although they can be a nutritious snack, tend to get stuck easily in their teeth and therefore can cause cavities. They are best offered when you can brush your teeth immediately after. Instead, offer things like raw fruits and vegetables, cheese and crackers, seeds, yogurt, milk, or water. Another important component of routine checkups is looking at your child's physical health. This includes ensuring your child's immunizations are up to date. When you registered for school, you would have had to show proof of immunization or an exemption letter. Consult with your doctor to ensure that your child has had all the immunizations that are needed. Children do require a booster between ages 4 and 6 years of age. Family physicians do not automatically update the health department on your child's immunizations, and this is the responsibility of parents. The health department now has an online reporting system that makes this process easier for parents and caregivers. You will find this information on the health department webpage. And finally, tracking your child's development is also important. Sometimes a child will let you know that they are struggling with their development through their behavior. One tool you can use to check to see if your child's development is on track is to use the Nipissing Developmental Screening Tool. This is a quick survey that looks at the key skills most children should master at a specific age. It can help you determine if there are any areas of your child's development that may need extra help. The Nipissing Screen is available in the Best Start resource for ages 2 to 6, and it can also be ordered through us at Halton Parents. The screen starts at 1 to 2 months of age and carries on to age 6. All the links to the resources that we have spoken about tonight will be available in our follow-up email. So we've talked a lot tonight, and we've learned a lot, so let's put it all together. So we've learned the key things children need to successfully transition to school are you and healthy, safe, secure relationships. They also having the ability to manage stress, need predictable routine, opportunities to play and learn, eat well, be active, and get enough sleep, and routine checkups. All of these help to develop self-regulation and executive functioning in our children, which, as we have heard tonight, are the key skills for life and learning. As I mentioned throughout the presentation, if there are any time you'd like to speak to a public health nurse about your child or to receive resources, you can connect with us in a variety of ways. You can dial 311 to speak directly to a PHN or email us with your request or your question. We are also available on several social media outlets such as Twitter, Facebook, and blogs. And finally, just another resource available to you is our own our own website at halton.ca on our Ready, Set, Go page, where we can access resources and checklists to help prepare you and your child for school. So that's the end of our presentation, and on behalf of Gabrielle, we'd really like to thank you for taking your time out of your busy night to come and listen in. So now we're going to start opening it up and answer any questions that you may have. Okay, so I see we have one question that says, what supplies will my child need? And this is a really great question, and this is exactly the type of question that you'd want to be asking your school that your child will be attending when you go to those kindergarten orientation nights in the spring. And you will have, because they are take place in the spring, you will have lots of time to purchase those supplies and get yourself organized. So that's a great question for your school. There's another one here. Does a child in kindergarten need to be able to wipe their bums by themselves? And there's also one, if accidents happen, does schools help children change clothes, or will parents be called? I'm just going to address those kind of together because they're a bit related. So your child, it would be expected that your child is independent at this age for entering school. We know that not everyone is, and we know children sometimes entering JK are as young as 3. So it is going to be expected that some kids will not have mastered this skill. So if this is the situation with your child, by all means, they are not alone in this. So the goal is obviously to have that independence with that skill. And really, my message would be to practice, practice, practice. And, you know, it's not a perfect science. And children really do master this skill at different rates. So you really just have to start the process with your child, help them guide along and praise their efforts when they are successful, and, you know, provide assistance when it is needed. Many schools, as I mentioned, will require you to have extra clothes and extra shoes at school. And it's just for these incidents exactly that, you know, accidents occur. The child will be asked to try to change their clothes. So it's important that we send our kids to school with clothes that are, you know, easily, you can put them on and off, you can pull them up and down, so like no buttons, no zippers or belts, so things that are kind of easier for them to manage. So having your child kind of set the stage for success when you go to school is a great way to start. And the school will provide minimal assistance. And of course, their ultimate goal is for your child to be feeling good about themselves and comfortable. So if it really was a situation where you needed to be called to the school, they would do that. There's another one here. Are schools required to have incident reports in case of an accident, like in daycare? And this is a question, again, I would kind of reflect back to your orientation day when you meet with the school. I know just from personal experience, I have had lots of, I shouldn't say lots, but have had some calls from schools from my one child who has hurt themselves. So generally they do have first aiders at the school, and they will manage kind of those minor cuts and scrapes and bruises with ice and Band-Aids and stuff. However, in my experience, anything larger than that, that's something that needed followed up, or whether I had to come and pick them up at the school, they would do that. So often I didn't necessarily get an incident report. I've never had anything that serious, but definitely I've received a phone call home from the school.
Okay, it looks like there's another question here. What is the transition period for kindergarten? Well, as I mentioned in the presentation earlier, transition school really starts at conception. However, in the days leading up to starting school, you may find your child is extra anxious or very excited, and that can continue for a few weeks starting school, potentially disrupting their eating and sleeping habits. So you may want to prepare for that. So by having dinner a little bit early and maybe going to bed a little bit earlier as well, so that they're feeling more rested and able to manage that transition better. Once your child settles into school and they know what's expected of them and their stress level has subsided somewhat, most likely yours has too, you may find that they've turned the corner. You're the expert on your child. So once the everyday activities of going to school actually starts to feel like a routine, then I think you know that you've turned that curve. Next question, what can parents do if a child has a problem to listening to instructions? Well, that's a great question, because it is one of those key skills we talked about in terms of self-regulation and executive function, and it's a really common concern. It helps, you know, if we had the opportunity to ask you about context, that would help. But just generally think about how you give instructions. Are you giving too many instructions? Remember, their memory bank is still developing at the same time as all those other skills, so it may be hard for them to remember to go upstairs, get their backpack, brush their teeth, make sure they put their journal in their bag, don't forget their snack. So try to keep the instructions few. And, you know, are we asking things that are too difficult for them? Thinking about their age and stage and their skills and their abilities. Are we poorly timing instructions? So perhaps you're asking them to do something in the middle of their favorite TV program, and they're actually focused and tuning everything else out. Or maybe perhaps our instructions are too vague. So stop being silly. What does that actually mean to a young child? So just generally speaking, get face-to-face with your child, use their name, get their attention, gently touch them on the shoulder, state your instructions positively. It's time to turn off the TV and come to dinner. as opposed to, would you like to turn off the TV and come to dinner? Praise them if they cooperate, and be prepared to back up your instructions if they don't. We have a wonderful program called Group Triple P, where we actually spend a great deal of time talking about how you can build a positive relationship with your child, the causes of some of those challenging behaviors, such as not listening, and we also identify constructive, non-hurtful ways of managing challenging behavior. The program is free, and as Rebecca mentioned, you can access help for these kinds of parenting issues by calling 311 or connecting with Fulton parents. And our last question is, starting school from day one, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. is too long, I think. What can parents do to have kids hit the road on these marathon days? Well, you're right, it can seem like a marathon day, especially for the first few weeks. So don't be surprised if your usually sweet child is anything but and has a meltdown at pickup time. And it doesn't indicate that they haven't really enjoyed school. Rather, they've been working hard to really manage all those skills we talked about this evening. So try to remember to collect before you direct, something I've always struggled with as a parent. And simply, spend some time in that moment with them before you move on or transition to the next activities. And if possible, again, simplify those the schedule once you return home. Take off as much off the to-do list as you can. Prepare snacks and lunches the evening before. And if you're with your child, if possible, because they're more likely going to eat the food that they help prepare, and you're going to be reassured that they can actually manage those containers. If your school has a uniform or doesn't have a uniform policy, I found it really helpful to pick out their clothes the night before. And I created a rule with my kids that what you pick out the night before is what you wear in the morning, so it avoided some of those kind of challenges or arguments the next day. And plan for earlier dinners and adjust the earlier bedtime, as I mentioned in the previous caller's question. As, again, feeling more rested and alert is going to help them really make that morning go better. And be patient. I mean, I can't promise you it's not always going to feel like a marathon, but at least you're going to have an opportunity to really move at your own pace.
Okay, so I guess that looks like all the questions for this evening. So again, just thank you very much for everybody. And again, you have our information on your screen there if you ever need to get a hold of us. Good night.
Thank you.